Welcome to the Joy Hour with Ella Mesma and guests. Grab yourself a tea, get cozy and settle in for real conversations with real people about their messy, beautiful journey to joy and what it took to build a creative life on their own terms. Today we are joined by Maria. At 16, both Maria's parents fell into depression. Her dad took his life and her mum remained in deep depression for years. Knowing she carried a strong energy, Maria made it her mission to bring healing to her and to the world. After years of personal growth and travelling the world, she healed much of herself and helped her mum fully recover after 10 years. Today, she's the healthiest she's ever been and medication-free. Since then, Maria has been hosting cacao ceremonies, personal coaching and sound healing sessions to support others on their journey to a healthier and more authentic life. Big love. I think already, just the heart and the honesty in your bio speaks to who you are and speaks to the journey that you've been on. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that. And thank you for being here and for sharing.
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. I'm very happy to be here today.
Beautiful. I love to begin with diving into your world. I think if people connect to your Instagram, they will see that you live a very global life. And, we've worked together for many years. So I've seen this beautiful transformation. And for me, I think one of the most inspiring things is having seen you go from working in a kind of full-time work to literally in front of my eyes cultivating this life, asking for what you would love and creating a work life where you can be anywhere you want to in the world, and witnessing you just traveling to amazing places and experiencing amazing things. So I think the first thing I would love for you to share with the listener is, what does the life of Maria look like?
So actually, these days, it feels very magical in my life. And when I look back to 1 or 2 years ago, I feel like I'm living my dream compared to before. And I'm super grateful for the transformation that I've made. Also, thanks to you, Ella, because you played a big role in that. And yeah, I'm just extremely grateful that I get to share that love, the healing, the cacao, everything, the sound healing that I practice, and to share that energy with the people around me, with the people wherever I go. If I go to India, to Egypt, or here in Austria, where I'm from, it's just very fulfilling now to be able to do that and to host cacao ceremonies regularly, to create spaces where people show up for healing, for creating love, for creating that energy that heals us all together. And it's a huge impact, because for every person that comes and joins and works on their own healing, all the people around them will be positively impacted. So I'm very honored to take on that role as a channel also for the cacao medicine, to communicate that love and that healing.
Beautiful. Of course, I want to ask about the cacao, the journey. How did it speak to you? How did that unfold? Where did you study? I'd love for the listener to understand a bit.
Yeah, so the first time I joined a cacao ceremony, it was actually here in Austria, and a colleague from work, she hosted the ceremony. And I had no idea what it was. I didn't know about cacao as a medicine. I only knew the drink that children drink, the hot chocolate that you can buy in supermarkets. And I had no idea about the medicine that is cacao, real cacao, ceremonial cacao, that is not processed, that is pure. It's a fruit. It's a very nutrient-dense fruit. And it has a heart-opening effect. And I went to this cacao ceremony. I didn't expect anything from it. I didn't know what it would be like. And it changed a lot in me. I was there, and every time I closed my eyes during the ceremony, I had a vision. I'm generally a very visual type. So when I meditate, sometimes I get visions. I see places. And when I was at the cacao ceremony, I always had this image in front of my eyes of a place in Guatemala. It's called Lake Atitlan. And I didn't know at that time why I kept seeing it. I opened my eyes and I was present again, and I closed my eyes and I saw the place. And then the cacao had a really strong impact on me. It made me feel like I was high. It was a big dose. I never had cacao before, and it feels like it's energizing your body. So after the ceremony, I went home and I still felt high from the cacao, and I interpreted the vision as a sign to go to Guatemala. I came home, I sat in front of the laptop and I looked up for flights. And I felt like, okay, it was a sign, I need to do this. And I checked for the possible dates that would be an option with my work. And then I saw exactly the dates that I chose. The flights were like much cheaper than on the other days. And I was like, this is another sign, I just need to book it. And I booked it immediately. And only after that, I realized that this specific place in Guatemala has a long history with cacao and is also in some way the birthplace of the modern cacao ceremonies. And at that time, I didn't even know it. So I went there and I connected with the cacao, I connected with the roots. I learned from shamans in Guatemala. I joined several cacao ceremonies there to learn. And what I realized was that there is not one way to do the ceremony, because my intention was to learn there, to improve my practice with cacao. But then I realized, no, everyone has a unique ceremony because we all bring our heart into it, our being. So the way that the Guatemalan shaman does the ceremony will not be in alignment with who I am. So I'm doing it in a different way. And we all bring the healing to the people in our own way, but we use the same medicine. The medicine always works the same, but we all have different energies. So the way I do it will be different. And yeah, I found my way of doing the ceremonies, and I started first with close friends and family, just in a small circle. I was really scared to do it and nervous, and step by step, it took like 1 or 2 years, and now I'm doing it regularly everywhere I go. And yeah, it's just beautiful how it opens people up, how it opened me up to my truth, to realize what my calling is, and also to open my heart to that.
And you often sing or play ukulele, please correct me if I'm wrong, at the ceremonies that you lead as well, is that right?
Yeah, that was actually a huge step for me, because I used to have a blockage in my throat chakra, which for many years I didn't even know about because I didn't focus on it. But then at one point I realized I have an issue with sharing my truth, sharing my heart with the world. Because whenever I was in a situation like that, I would go like not knowing what to say, how to speak, and just imagining the fact that I would sing in front of other people would scare the hell out of me. So I started hosting cacao ceremonies, and traditionally, like, it's common to make music or to sing, but I was way too scared to do that. So in the beginning, I used my speakers and, improvised a bit. But then I realized, like, no, I need to share my voice. This is something I have to do. Even with talking, I realized there's a blockage, so I started to work on it. I did some vocal activation exercises. I ordered the ukulele. I started to learn how to play. I sang just for myself, and then baby steps. It's not from zero to singing in front of a big group. No, it was like slow steps, and step by step I started to integrate a little bit of singing and playing ukulele in the ceremonies, but I was still really uncomfortable. I was still scared. I was still thinking, oh my God, what will they think about my voice? Because I had always told myself I cannot sing. My voice sounds horrible. And then I just started sharing it, and then I realized the less I cared about how I sounded, the better I sounded. And as soon as I let go of the fear, of that nervousness, of that tension, and I was just like, I don't care, I'm just enjoying it. I'm doing it for myself. I'm not performing for anyone. I'm doing it for the joy of it, for bringing the healing, bringing the love. And then suddenly it came with ease, the singing, the making music. Now I don't care. I even say to people, I know I'm not the best singer, but I'm doing it because I know it's good for my body, and you should do the same. Yeah.
Beautiful. And how do people respond to that? Do they do the same? Do you ever have people singing with you, for example?
Yeah, actually, they respond very positively. It's really funny because it happened to me. One time I hosted a ceremony. It was a big circle, the biggest ceremony I hosted ever at that time, with 16 participants. And the first song I played, I started the ceremony with a song. And I don't know what happened, but I made like 20 mistakes in that one song. And I don't know why, but I just kept playing the wrong tunes. And then it brought me so much out of the concept that I just couldn't play. And then I started laughing. And actually, I'm really glad. I was not like nervous, but I felt like, Maria, what's going on? Like, there's so many people that I didn't know before. And then, of course, you start thinking, what are they thinking? But I was laughing and they were laughing. And it was an amazing thing because it somehow broke the ice. There were so many people that didn't know each other. Everyone was laughing. And then the ceremony started with a flow. It started with ease. It started funny, you know? And then we all we had a really beautiful ceremony. And yes, people do sing with me, not all of them. A lot of times I have to motivate them because and I understand they are also scared to share their voice. I was there before. I remember in my first ceremony, I did not sing because I was like, I'm not going to sing in front of people. And I understand, but I always try to tell them how good it is for the body, because singing balances our body. It has a vibration, and as we consist 70% out of water, it harmonizes our body. Actually, singing, it's very healthy. And also, while we sing, we are present. We are not thinking about the past, the future, any worries. We are focusing on singing. So it's very healthy, and it's a great tool to become present.
Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, again, witnessing your journey, I'm very happy for you, and it's really beautiful to witness. So today you're joining us from Austria.
Yes.
But you also spend a lot of time in Egypt and India in particular,
Yes.
and then you also just love to travel.
Exactly. Yeah. So India, for me, I never planned to go there. I always had other plans, but life interfered and canceled my ticket to another place, or canceled my visa. So I got stuck in India, and it was the biggest teacher. This country was, I learned so much there about yoga, about compassion, about caring, about love, about community. It's incredible, and I'm incredibly grateful for India. Also for meeting my future husband there. That's actually also a very magical story, because 1 year before I went to India, I did a meditation and I had a vision of a place. And I was standing on a cliff, and in front of me there was the ocean. Behind me it was greenery, like trees and grass. And it was a beautiful place, and I was standing there. I saw myself from above. And in the meditation, I asked, where is this place? And the answer was Kerala, South India. But I didn't get a specific place. So after the meditation, I opened Google, and I wanted to see, like, is there any place like that in Kerala? So I just Googled cliff Kerala. And I immediately found one place. It's called Varkala. I saw the picture and it looked exactly like the cliff I had seen in the meditation. Then I went back to meditation and I journaled, and I got this strong feeling that I needed to go to that place. Even, more than 1 year ago, or almost 2 years ago, I wrote in my journal, you need to go to Varkala. There is something for you. You don't know what exactly is there, but you need to go. And so I planned this whole trip. I planned to travel for around 6 months. And I knew at one point I had to go to Varkala. And, when I planned to go there, I had already forgotten about the meditation. Like, it was a long time ago already, but I still knew, like, it was on my plan to go there. And then I ended up going there with my mom, and I booked a resort, a yoga resort. And we met there, and he was the manager of the resort, and we became really good friends while we were there. And then he invited my mom and me to his mom's home, and she was cooking traditional food for us. But all of that, like, we were just friends. And then a lot of things happened, like, you know, the universe or God was interfering with my travel plans, because I said goodbye to him at least 4 or 5 times because I was planning to leave. But then the train was fully booked and I couldn't get the ticket. I booked a plane to Vietnam and the visa didn't come through. A lot of things happened. And we always got back together. And then at first I had a lot of resistance, but he already knew we were partners, but I had resistance. I didn't see it. And then as soon as I, like, step by step, I let go of the resistance, and then I realized, okay, maybe he's actually the one. I was doubtful in the beginning, but then I realized he's the right person. And then we chose, after almost a year of being together, we chose to get married. And then another special thing happened where I was thinking about where we could marry, what would be the location, and one place popped into my mind. And I didn't know if they would rent any event locations, but it was a restaurant on the cliff. And I Googled it, and then I saw next to the restaurant, they had a venue, beautiful, full of palm trees right on the cliff, and they host weddings there. And I didn't know it before. I never heard of it before. And then I also realized that venue looked exactly like that place that I saw in the vision before I even went to India.
Wow.
And then I realized in that vision, I already saw the place where I would get married.
It's amazing. I've just got goosebumps.
Yeah.
I think for the listener, it's probably wise that we talk a little bit about intuition, because maybe they're going like, "What visions? What?" So yeah, we met via intuitive work, and your intuition is very strong to that point now that you can close your eyes and get the symbols and really go with them. Could you speak a little bit to that intuitive journey?
Yeah. Actually, that was also a big transition, because in the past, before I got introduced to that intuition work, I only believed in the things that I could rationally understand. Like, what I can touch is real. Anything about energy was not real in my perspective. And then at one point, I was at a point in my life where I didn't know what to do. Should I go to university? Should I start working? Should I do this or that? And I was really confused. I had no clarity. And then I reached out to Arush, who was a friend of mine at that time, and he was coaching about intuition. And I asked him if he could, like, give me some hints, give me some support. So I started to take a few coaching sessions with him, and he introduced me to that work, and I was blown away. He gave me a reading, and he told me things about myself that I was not even aware of. And I was like, how did you know that? And that was when I realized there's so much more in this world than the things that we can understand with our rational mind. And I started to also take the trainings from William Whitecloud about intuition, about creating our life by visualizing what we would love to have, and working with that energy, with the emotions of creating that. And then, yeah, I realized how powerful this is when you have a vision of something you would love to create, and you keep that vision, you keep imagining how it feels when you have it, how your life will look like, all the imagination you use like a child, like we're imagining our dream life. And it's not just playful imagination, but that imagination actually manifests in the real world. And that is something really powerful that changed my life a lot, and that helped me to create the life that I'm living now. Because I let go thinking inside the box, where you think life is only possible in this and that way because everyone else is living like this, or because our parents told us it's like that. But when you manage to let go of those beliefs and break out of that, you realize the vastness of the possibilities in the world, and that you can literally create anything you want as long as it comes truly from your heart. And that's extremely powerful and life-changing.
Beautiful. And so one of those things that you would love, or you knew you would love, was to really transform your relationship with your mother, but also kind of your mother's health and your mother's well-being. Would you be willing to share a bit about that journey with us?
Yes, of course. So my mom, she was in a very, very deep depression, and she fell into depression. I was around 16, and I was so young, so I didn't know anything about depression, how to treat it, how to help her. So we just trusted the doctors, and they just gave her a lot of medications, and so much medications, until a point where she was basically numb. She looked like a robot because they numbed her with medication. And now looking back, I would handle the situation completely different. I would first, try to treat her more with going out to nature, spending more time with her, giving her more love, making music with her, painting with her, trying to bring some kind of joy. And I know it's a difficult topic, because everyone is reacting different in depression, and medication can be very useful when it's used correctly and for the right person. But in the case of my mom, it was just too much. She was taking medications for 10 years, and it didn't help her. She was just laying in bed and saying that she wants to die. So she was always going between being in a hospital to being in a care home, and nobody knew how to help her. We tried a lot, from therapy to different things, but nothing helped. And I think most people had already given up and said, okay, this is just the state that she's in now. And when I went to India the first time, something transformed me, because I met a lot of Indian people, became friends with them, and we talked about family and how they live with completely different values of community, how they stick together as a family. And for them, family is the most important, most valuable thing. And they were actually saying to me, but she's your mother. How can you leave her in a care home? How can you be here and leave her in Austria? And I said, well, how can I help her? I didn't know, but actually we didn't really give her the love, I think. We didn't give her what she needed. We brought her to the doctor and told them to treat her. But that's not how it worked. And then I went back home, and something in my mind changed, and I said, I'm her daughter. I have the power, not the doctors, the strangers that give her pills. It's me, it's the love, it's human connection that she needs. So I started to call her every single day. Sometimes we talked for an hour, sometimes half an hour. I started to drink cacao with her. It was very powerful. We were sitting together. First time I gave her cacao, I told her how it's done. Like, first we set an intention, we say the things that we are grateful for, and then we drink together. And we were sitting, just her and me, and she was drinking. And then after a while, she started crying. And I hadn't seen her cry for a very long time, because she was so numb from the medicine. She didn't show any emotions. And then she was like, why are the tears coming down? I don't know why I'm crying. And I said, it's because the cacao is helping you to release blockages within you. It's helping you to let go of what you don't need. And she was a bit doubtful at first, but then she accepted it. And so it was a process of about 2 years, where she was still like in a bad state, but very, very, very slowly she started to get better. And now, since this January, she's completely free of medication. She's completely healed. She lost 30 kilos. Because of the medicine, she gained a lot of weight. and now she lost the weight again. She's super healthy. She's walking a lot. She is excited to come to India with me. She loves traveling. She loves her life. And she tells me every evening she goes to bed and she says, thank you for all the beautiful things in her life. And I can feel that now is the first time in her life that she's actually herself. Even before her disease, she was like playing the role of the mother. She was not truly authentically living her life. And now I think she had to go through this 10-year phase of really tough depression to let go of that. It was a cleansing of her body, and now she is loving life and loving every single day, and I'm very grateful for that. And I also don't want to say that I healed her alone, because it was a common effort of her sisters were taking care of her, and a lot of people supported that.
And I also want to acknowledge, I remember you saying that I'm going to set an intention that I can take her with me on a trip. But, I just like to acknowledge that and the power of you setting that intention.
Yeah, there's a lot of power behind energy and intention, because also every time I drank cacao and I meditated, I set the intention to send energy to her, healing energy. And it was also part of the choices, my weekly visions that I set for myself. I visualized her healing, and I'm sure it had a great impact.
Beautiful. Yeah, celebrating you. I think you really recognized it with your mum. She needs to connect to the joy, and I'd love to hear what part joy plays in your life now, and what brings you joy in your life now.
Joy plays a huge role in my life, because I believe without joy, we cannot create anything meaningful, anything purposeful. For me, I feel like when I experience joy, everything I do gets more energetic. Everything I do is more relatable for other people. If I create something and I'm joyful, other people will relate to me. So I really try to find it in everything I do, even very simple things like if I'm going for a walk, I look around and I look at the mountains and I appreciate how beautiful they are. And I think it's really important to find that joy in all that we do, because it can be there in every single action. It can be in washing the dishes. It can be in doing the laundry. It's like it's our choice to acknowledge the joy in our life and to bring it there. I think without joy, there's no happiness, there's no life force. Yeah.
In the work that we practice, we refer to the bridge as being, how do we get from the current reality, from the challenges, as well as just, what we're experiencing in our day-to-day life, our identity, and then we have the vision, what we would love to go for. And the bridge is that, how do you get there? And I'm intrigued, what feels like the bridge that has taken you to the life you live now?
For me, the bridge was definitely authenticity and vulnerability. And I realized that those parts of myself that I was hiding were actually the biggest gifts. Actually, the part of myself that is my creator, that is my essence. And for example, one part is my voice. I was scared to share my voice. Now my voice connects people and heals people. And that authenticity, like showing up as my true self without being worried about being judged by others, and sharing that vulnerability in the cacao ceremonies. And of course, in the beginning, I was like, what will people think? They will think I'm this like spiritual, weird girly, and they will think this is like, nothing serious. It's just, yeah. And I was thinking that in the beginning, and I was scared to share that, and I was scared to speak vulnerably in front of people. And So it was all about sharing that side of myself with the world and not doing it for validation or not doing it to perform, but doing it to serve. Because if I have this gift of bringing people together, bringing healing to other people, it's also a responsibility. It's nothing I should hide. It's something I need to use in service of other people. And I learned that, and it was a step-by-step process. I had to overcome my fear again and again, but I'm really happy to say now that I'm okay with being me to the fullest, and I realized that it brought me so many more true and aligned connections in my life because I was sharing from my heart, because I'm completely fully me, so everyone who resonates with me will connect, and if I'm not my authentic self, I will not be able to have authentic connections. So that authenticity really transformed my life, also at work, in my personal life, in anything that I'm creating.
I've got like this big proud, proud energy, you know, it's just such a beautiful thing to witness. And I do remember this moment when we were working together, when it was kind of realizing with many clients, their identity will be, maybe it's anger or maybe it's jealousy. But with you, it was like, no, your shadow is you being you to the full. You know, it's like you'd kind of learned to not show your whole self. And it was like this gorgeous sunshine, sunflower energy that was being hidden because you thought that it wasn't safe to be yourself. But to sit here and witness you being you to the full, I'm very happy for you. It's really a joy.
Thank you so much.
There is one more story that I'd love to ask you about. I think a really inspiring story for our listener is you asking at work, or this journey with your workplace to working full time to the life that you live now. And I'd love if you would be willing to share a bit of that story with us.
Yeah, that was, wow, maybe one of my biggest creations in some way. So what happened was I got this intuitive impulse. It was about 2 years ago to quit my job, to quit my full-time job. And I felt overwhelmed by that intuition because I was like, but this is my only source of income. And I actually liked my job. I knew it was not fulfilling, but it was okay. I liked it. And I felt like, no, I cannot quit my job. What will I do? I don't have any other source of income. I have no plan B. But I was in a dilemma because I knew I had to follow my intuition. I knew that from experience. If I act against my intuition, a lot of things will go wrong in my life. I experienced that more than once. So I felt really scared because I knew I had to follow through. I had to follow that intuition. I had to quit my job. And it took me several months to get comfortable, more or less, with that idea. But I was still a bit scared because I didn't know what would happen after. And intuition works like that. It gives you one step, but it will not show you the next one. Only when you complete that first step, you will get the next. So I had to trust. I had to trust that my intuition or God knows where it's guiding me. And I decided to have a conversation with my boss, and I told her that I will leave my job. And I also told her that I actually love to work for that company, but I just see for myself that this is not my future. I don't see myself there long term, and that I miss traveling. And after that, after my travels, I would like to find a part-time job so I can focus more on my personal projects. And my boss was very understanding and very nice. She was a bit sad. But then I also said to her, you know, if you need some support while I'm traveling, I could offer to work a few hours from abroad if that's an option for you. And first she was a bit doubtful and she said, okay, let's look into it. I will let you know. And I said, okay. So then I was waiting. Like, it felt like I was sitting on needles, like, you know, waiting for the reply every day, waiting, no reply, no reply. Several weeks passed. It was like I think almost 1 month passed, and I still didn't get a reply. And it was one of my last days at work. And I thought, okay, I was gonna leave. I was gonna go travel, and then let's see what will happen. And then one of my last days at work, I went to her office for a different topic. We were talking about something, and then I said to her, "Oh, by the way, did you have a chance to think about me working from abroad? Would that be an option?" And then she was thinking for a moment. She looked at me. "Actually, I didn't have any time to think about it, but you know what? Let's just try it." And I was like, "What?" In that moment, I honestly didn't even expect it anymore. And she just said yes. And I said, "Really?" She said, "Yes, let's try it." And I couldn't believe it. I didn't tell anyone until I signed the contract because I felt like this is such a fragile thing that I need to like keep it safe. And it felt like my dream. And I was able to work just a few hours, 15 hours per week while traveling. And beside that, I was able to focus on my yoga journey, doing the yoga teacher training, learning more about cacao. And it was the best thing that could have happened. And I'm still working for the same company. I'm very grateful for that.
Just so inspiring. Yeah, I love, this. We don't need to know. We just need to follow the truth, and then the magic that's unfolded.
Yeah, it was very magical. And it shows again, like, even if it's really scary, we just have to trust intuition because there's a reason why it's there. The fear will always keep us small.
Right.
And the intuition is like you're standing on the edge of a cliff and you jump. You don't know if you will fall or if you will fly. But if it comes from intuition, you will fly.
Yes. Beautiful. So for the listener, how can they live a life of joy? And then how can they connect to you?
So how to live a life of joy? I feel like it's about, like what I said before, finding the joy in the little things, like nature. Nature is beautiful. Go outside, go for a walk. Look at a tree, observe the leaves, how beautiful they are, the little things. It's about presence in nature, presence with your breath, meditation. I think the easiest way to find joy is to be present. And nature helps us with that because there's a lot of things to explore, to observe that are beautiful. So that brings you joy and peace in a very simple and easy way.
Beautiful.
And for connecting, so I have 2 Instagram channels. One is more about the travel and the private, and the other one is about mainly the cacao journeys and anything I share about my coaching and business. And that is called maria.earthrituals.
Beautiful. Thank you, Maria. It's been a joy.
Thank you, Ella, for having me. And I really enjoyed the conversation. And thank you so much for creating that space.
Thank you for listening, and we would love to hear what stood out for you from today's conversation in the comments. If this conversation resonated, please subscribe to the Joy Hour, share it, and leave a review so that others can find their way here too. And of course, follow us on social media. And if you'd like to deepen your own joy practice, grab a free gift from my journal to joy at mayagandaya.com/Joy Hour Gift. Thank you so much to our wonderful guests today, and you can read more about them, their work, and connect with them. The links in the show notes below. Thanks again, and until next time, sending you love and joy.